Hi, I'm going to give you a few real examples here from a few films, purely from a no-budget standpoint. The first is a scene set in Chinatown. We actually shot this interior in the bedroom of the flat we used as our main base, but because I sandwiched the scene between real Chinatown shots, we pulled it off. It was simply a case of buying a strip roll of wallpaper, then dressing the tables. The exterior shot was from a random office that overlooked the main drag. From memory, we paid cash to a guy who worked there, having simply rung the doorbell. He wasn't even the boss, but he pocketed a few quid and allowed us to get the shot we needed. Looking down on the characters in the street, we didn't target a restaurant at all. Andy and I just stepped away from an arcade door or something. It didn't matter what it was, as the camera couldn't see details from the angle we took the shot. It worked well enough, and for a few quid on wallpaper and a bottle of soy sauce, a paper tablecloth and a backhander to a guy in a first floor office, it wasn't a bad result. The bed shop was a little more setting up, but again a bargain.
Don't believe it. Oh, just put a kettle on, mate.
We weren't really in there for long and got the shot before the shop opened for that day. It was a small local shop in South London. Again, really happy with the result.
Okay. Puffy sort of shoe.
The shot was interesting for the wrong reasons. I got the legendary Steadicam operator John Ward to come in and do his night shot of the two guys coming down the street. But the camera we were using for the Super 16mm was so ancient, we found he didn't actually have a compatible link for his rig, so we couldn't use him after all. And I had to make do with this distant shot that didn't do the boys justice. Steve Mangan and Jack Davenport. A shame, but what can you do? You just have to deal with what you're dealt. The police came by at one point and asked us what we were doing. When we told them, they simply laughed in utter disbelief, reckoning we'd get robbed blind by the time we were done. In fact, it was completely trouble-free. The place was deserted. We knocked on some doors and paid a local a few quid just to plug into his mains, giving us lamps, and we got on with it. A good night shoot. This is Queen's Park, the only one we could find in the whole of London that were happy for us to do it for nothing. The ground was actually really waterlogged, very boggy, so lying on the floor was fraught with difficulty, and we didn't have replacement clothes for anyone, nor any towels for that matter. But it needed to look summery and relaxed. But the park also really allowed us to improvise and capture some fun in front of camera. The cafe and the pool belonged to my chief investors, Stan and Barbara Fink, so again cost us nothing. We just had to work around when the cafe would be shut on a Sunday. Grazing between cityscape. If the camera is handheld and not on sticks, you probably don't need a permit, at least not in the UK, to shoot. You'll need to look into it, of course, in your local area, but certainly that's the case in many Western countries. So investing in or borrowing a gimbal is a really good idea if you're wanting to shoot a lot of urban stuff with crowds or general public involved. This is the shot I spoke about earlier, looking down from the fire station on Shaftesbury Avenue with Tash on the end of a mobile ready to walk up on cue. The style of the film was very internal, reflective, which really lent itself to throwing the camera out of focus. Again, very helpful also for general public shots. We were basically left alone. Of course, people were curious, and there was always going to be takes where people looked down the barrel, but all you had to do was wait a few minutes and they moved on. This is the Taro Japanese restaurant in Soho, best chicken ramen in town. A quiet word with the owner a week or so before, and he let me in there to film for the price of a meal. They closed briefly after lunch, so that's when we got the shots we needed. I think they're now open all day, so things have changed. But I also want to underline how much you can get done outside without having to concern yourself with lights, dollies, all the paraphernalia. By all means use a jib arm, whatever you like, but exteriors rock for the no-budget movie. This is a short film I did at film school called Opportunist, shot mostly in the studios at the NFTS. I needed a couple of exteriors. The shop actually comprises 3 locations, but inside, everything looking away from the till is one shop. Looking at the till is a set build I did at the studio, and the exterior another place again. I needed to build the till so I could get the camera in and move it around. I did this by making removable walls, but also I needed to create this very specific glass-fronted affair that I could then shoot through. I just loosely modelled the till area on the shot we were shooting, so they matched well enough to the casual glance. Get used to looking at all of your scenes in this light though, so you can work out what you can cheat, what you can build, what you can get away with, and the audience will have no idea. It's a lot of fun in itself. The film screened at Hollywood Student International Film Festival and got picked up by Fox TV for distribution, so actually made some money. There was a guy who stopped me at the festival and he asked me for a copy. This was back in the days of DVDs. I said sure, but I asked him why. He told me he taught film in San Francisco and had brought a bunch of youngsters down for the film festival. He then explained he wanted to use it as a teaching instrument for his students. I've never been so flattered in all my life. I wasn't going to argue with that. I do regret not paying more attention and getting his details, having been turned down by the Film Council as was. I heard they also touted it about as a really good example of how to make a short. It just goes to show. These are great exteriors from Nepal, urban and in the mountains outside Kathmandu. The guys had to walk for hours with kit to get these shots, so really paring the kit back to the very bare essentials was paramount. I'm not sure I would have chosen to carry something as bulky as a red camera all the way up there, but that bit wasn't my department. Workshopping actors to get them to a place where they could work well with one another, where they're familiar enough to make it look and feel authentic, is I think a really good idea. So factor in a few rehearsal days. As you'll recall from my earlier module on the Bright House ads, I needed to create a family in a couple of days. We didn't even have the whole family there because the youngest wasn't able to make it down to London. He was only there for the actual shoot on the day. So it's imperative he got used to the guys, the rest of his family, rather than me, the director, because it would be them he'd be interacting with when it mattered. On the second day, I changed the shoot around, realising he'd peaked in the waiting room the day before, so I got all of his stuff done early, releasing him for the afternoon. That way we got the best out of him, and he didn't get tired and bored of all of us.